Hello everyone, welcome to AYC's Fashion TV. Today we want to teach you how to cut Bustier pattern piece and how to sew it. Don't forget, subscribe and like. At AYC's Fashion Academy, you can always get the best. See you in class.
Hello everyone, here we are once again and I welcome you to this module at AYC's Fashion Academy. Here we're going to be cutting the Bustier pattern piece, adding your necessary sewing allowance to it, and we're going to be going straight also to the sewing.
So here I have my center front piece, my side front piece, my center back piece and my side back piece. So now I'm going to be cutting my side front first, adding my sewing allowance. I'm going to be adding ½ inch on every other side except the side front, which is going to be 1 inch. Also placing my side back piece, where I'll be adding 1 inch at the side back, then every other part ½ inch. Now I cut with sewing allowance being added ½ inch. So you have to make sure that whatever sewing allowance you are adding to it has to eventually give you the exact shape of what you already have on your pattern block. Not that adding sewing allowance will now change the shape of what you have on your pattern. So ½ inch, then 1 inch at every other part. Okay, so I just finished cutting my side front piece. So now I'm cutting my side back piece. ½ inch on every other part. Then on the side seam, 1 inch. To the side back, 1 inch. So now this is my side back piece. So now I'm going to be cutting my center front piece, which we all know that is going to be on fold. Center front on fold. Then I had my sewing allowance ½ inch all round. So I have my center front piece, and as you can see, the shape at which I have my pattern is still the same shape at which what I've added as my sewing allowance is on the fabric. So now the last piece I'm going to be cutting is my center back piece, ½ inch on every other part, and at the center back I have 1 inch or 1.5. So you can either use 1 inch as your zipper allowance or you use 1.5 as your zipper allowance. So I'm going to be making use of 1 inch. Okay, so here I have what my center back piece. So I'm just going to be notching this part to show as that's the upper part for my zipper allowance. So here I have all my pieces cut out. My side front, center back, then my side back. It's all sewing allowance added. So now what I'm going to be doing now is to cut an interfacing for this. And what do I mean by interfacing? I'm going to be using an ST to do a padding for the front. So I'm going to be using it to cut. So now I'm cutting my ST exactly the same way I cut the fabric. I'm just going to be cutting another one because I would like to double it, so give it an extra possible. So that's 2 layers of ST for my side front, and I'll also do the same thing for my center front piece. 2 layers of ST. So don't forget to cut it as on fold, just as the same way you cut the fabric piece. So then for the back piece, the center back piece and the side back piece, I'm just going to be using just 1 layer for it. So that's for my side back piece. Then I have the center back piece. So what I want to do now is to cut one last layer for the front piece, where I'm going to be concentrating more at the bust area. And the whole idea of why we are doing this is just to create extra strength for fusibles. I'm going to be stopping this at the under bust. And the same thing for the center front piece. Lastly, I'm going to be cutting the lining, which I'm going to be using to turn the rough edges. So I intend to use the same fabric I used for it. So let me start by cutting the front. So that's for the side front. So here I'm cutting the center front piece for the lining. So now I'm cutting the side back piece. Okay, so now lastly, I have what the center back piece. Okay, so here I have all my pattern piece, the center back piece, the side back piece, both the lining and the main fabric itself, the center front piece, both the lining and the main fabric itself, and I have what? The side front piece of both the main fabric and the lining itself. So these are all my pattern pieces cut out on fabric with all necessary sewing allowances added to it. So here we are at the sewing machine where I have my pattern pieces cut out on fabric. So now as you can see, I've put my stay, pressing it with iron for all the fabric pieces. This is the side front, the center front piece, the side back piece, and I have the center back piece. So here I have all my lining, so I just eventually use my fabric to cut it. So now we're going to be sewing every pieces together just as we have detached it from the pattern block. So now the side front piece sewn towards the center front piece. So what I'm just going to do is to start from the bottom part. So make sure that the two fabrics are aligning together. Now we have two different curves, and if you are not careful, they end up not meeting each other. It's either one is longer than the other, or you end up discovering that they are not even just aligning at all. That's because there are two curves. So you have to sew exactly what you have as the shape of the pattern piece. If not, you're just going to discover that all you drafted is not going to give you a better outcome, and that's not because the pattern was wrong, but because your sewing was not right. So you can see they are all aligning at the top and at the end. So you have to make sure that when you are doing yours, the sewing was aligned. It's all about the sewing technique, not because the pattern is wrong. So I'm just going to be notching at the seam allowance, and the reason why I'm notching is because it's a curved seam, and if you don't notch, it won't be relaxing well on the body figure. So you have to notch. You can just have like an inch distance while notching. Just like this. Okay, so now I'm going to be joining the center back piece and the side back piece. So it's at the panel part where the dart was removed. That's where I'm joining together. So if you have done your pattern right, making sure that it is meeting while closing up your dart, you discover that everything is meeting and there is no extra or excess anywhere.
just like this. So now that I have done this for the fabric piece, I'm going to be doing the same thing for the lining. So the sewing technique is fabric to fabric, lining to lining. So the same thing you've done for the fabric is the same thing you're going to be doing for the lining. So I'm still joining the panels together for the lining. So I'm still going to be notching the same way I've notched for the fabric piece. Then I have this. So now the back piece. Okay, so now I'm done with joining all the panels together, both front and back, and the fabric piece and the lining piece. So what I'm going to do now is to go to the pressing iron and to open up all my seams for both the front and the back. Welcome back. Here I have my front piece well ironed, and the seam is open, the same as my lining, also for the back and also for the lining. So the next thing I'm going to be doing now is to join the pieces together, both front and the back. So the fabric to fabric first, then the lining to lining. So now don't forget what you added as your side seam allowance, which is 1 inch. So 1 inch allowance is what you're going to be sewing off the side seam. So as you can see, all alignments we did on the pattern is reflecting here. They are all meeting, and that's because we did all the alignments on the pattern block. So I'm also going to be sewing the lining at the side seam 1 inch. So once you are sewing and you are discovering that there is no alignment, you need to confirm what you are doing. If truly you've done everything on your pattern block, you should also align. Then I'm also going to iron to open up the seams for both the fabric and the lining. So now that I've ironed the side seam, I need to sew the neckline. So the 1/2 inch which we added will be sewn off, making sure that the seams are meeting, the panels are meeting. Okay, so I'm going to also be notching the neckline because it's a curved seam as well. Okay, so I'm just going to be top stitching on the lining. So it's going to be at the tip just to hold down the seam. Okay, so let me sew the hem line. Okay, so now that I've sewn the hem line, I've just finished one side for the center back. So now I'm going to be sewing the other end at the center back. So now I'm just notching the end, so in order for the angles not to be too thick when I turn. Okay, so now I've enclosed everything together, both the lining and the fabrics together. So what I'm just going to do now is to open one side. So just loosen it out, just a little bit at the side seam. Then we are going to be turning everything out from that little hole you've created. So here you are not going to find it easy to turn this out, but you just have to turn it out this way. The purpose is for us to achieve a very clean and nice finishing. And you can also do this if there is no boning, or if there's going to be a boning, there's another finishing to that. Okay, here we are almost done. Okay, so now finish turning. So I'm just going to be using my scissors to shoot out the angles. Okay, so now I'm just going to finish up enclosing the opening I had, which I used to turn out. Okay, so now I have this, then I have everything turned in and out. So now let's go and press with iron.
Okay, set.
Alright, so now here we have the finished work of the Bustier pattern block. So this is the front view, and here we have the inside, which is the lining. Okay, so you can see well finished, all enclosed, front and back joined together.